Hi Vernon Harris, how are you? This is Melinda Rai. Welcome to the Day 3 Virtual Summit 2026.
Hello?
Yeah, hi Vernon, can you hear us?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I cannot see you.
You cannot see me. Hold on.
Okay.
Maybe my camera, I've just turned it on. It should be on.
Hello. I'm sorry, I cannot hear your voice clearly. It's breaking. It's breaking a lot. Can you please check your internet connectivity? It's really muffling. So, when on your internet connectivity is very bad and your voice is breaking up a lot. So, can you talk by turning off video and let's try in that way? Okay, now can you talk? No, it's the same issue, sir. Can you please check your internet connectivity and rejoin if possible? It's funny, but yeah, can you please rejoin?
Right, I'm back now. Can you hear me?
But can you please turn on your video?
Okay, my video is on. I need to get a background on here, but I don't know how.
So okay. So you can choose it from your folder, sir, if you want to change your background, virtual background
Choose it from where?
from your folder.
From my folder. I
Yeah.
think I've never used this platform, so I'm not sure where the background is.
Okay. Do you want me to tell the steps, or do you want to continue like this?
Uh, I'll have to continue like this because I don't know, unless you can tell me how to get onto the background.
Okay.
Uh, right. I didn't realize I was supposed to be starting now. I thought I was going
Yeah,
to.
one second, sir. Yeah, before you join your session, so I would like to introduce you to the audience. So, my name is Melinda Roy. Welcome to the Day 3 Virtual Summit 2026. So, hope you are doing great.
I am doing very well, thank you.
And are you enjoying the sessions?
I've been busy sorting myself out because I had a few family issues, so I'm running a bit late.
Okay, no problem. So, yes, welcome on stage, Vernon Harris. So, Vernon Harris is a speaker, educator, trusted self love coach, and co author of the forthcoming book, Editor's Guide to Nurturing Your Unborn Child. With over 18 years in education and 14 years in personal development and emotional well being, he empowers individuals to build resilience, self worth, and authentic confidence. Drawing on his expertise in education, coaching, and therapy, he inspires lasting personal transformation through practical insights and storytelling. His work is dedicated to helping people unlock their potential and create a positive legacy for future generations. And so, everyone, so this is the last speaker. Vernon Harris is the last speaker for this day 3 event. So, thank you so much for joining this event, sir. And yeah, the stage is all yours. Good luck.
So, am I the last one? Okay.
Yeah, you're the last speaker and the best speaker.
Okay. Thank you very much. Right. As I'm the last speaker, let's begin. Okay. So, let's see now. Where shall we begin? Today, I'll be telling my story. So, let me introduce myself. There are moments in life that shape us forever. Sometimes they happen quietly. Sometimes we don't even realize their significance until many years later. This keynote is a collection of those moments. It is the story of a little boy growing up in the Caribbean island of St. Kitts and of an ordinary people whose love, kindness, and influence quietly shaped the man he would become. It is also an invitation to reflect on the people who shaped your own life. Because leadership is not always found in a boardroom, a classroom, or on a stage. More often than not, it is found in homes, friendships, families, and everyday acts of love. This is their story. This is my story, and perhaps somewhere along the way, it will become part of yours. So let me introduce slide one of my, oh, how do I find my slides? Oh, there we are. Oh, I'm losing my slides here. So, this equipment, I'm a little bit struggling with the presentation here, and I need a little bit of help. So this is me. I'm not quite sure what's happening here.
Sorry to interrupt. So could you please tell the next slide so that our team will change the slides, okay? Whenever you
So,
stop.
sorry, I'm not, I'm having trouble changing the slides.
Yes, our team is already presenting from your side, sir. So whenever you wish to change the slide, just tell us change next slide so that our team will change for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
First of all, let me say good morning, everyone, and welcome wherever you're joining us from today. Thank you for choosing to spend the time with me. I know there are countless things competing for your attention, so I genuinely appreciate you being here. My name is Vernon Harris, and over the next 25 minutes, I'd like to share a story with you, a story about leadership, but probably not the kind of leadership you're expecting. When we hear the word leader, many of us immediately think of presenting presidents, chief executive managers, entrepreneurs, or people standing on a stage speaking to hundreds or even thousands of people. For many years, I thought along those same lines. But life taught me something very different. Some of the greatest leaders never hold an impressive title. They never managed a company. They never became famous. Many never even realized they're leading because true leadership isn't about position. It's about influence. It's about the difference we make in another person's life. So I'd like to begin by asking you a question. And wherever you're watching from today, I'd like you to think about your answer. Who helped you shape the person you are today? Who believed in you when you doubted yourself? Who encouraged you when life became difficult? Who made you feel safe, loved, that you mattered? For some of you, that person may have been your mother. For others, it may have been your father. Perhaps it was a grandparent, a teacher, a neighbor, a coach, or someone who came into your life for only a short season but left a long impact. Whoever came to mind, hold on to that person because today's talk is really about them. It's about the quiet influence of ordinary people who did extraordinary things simply through the way they loved, encouraged, and believed in others. For me, that person was my grandmother. I called her Mama. She never stood on a stage like this. She never held an important title. She never thought of herself as a leader. Yet, when I look back over my life, I realize she shaped almost everything that truly mattered. She taught me kindness before I understood the word. She taught me respect before I knew why it mattered. She taught me courage without ever calling me calling it courage. And perhaps most importantly, she taught me what love looked like. Next slide, please. I was born on a Caribbean island of St. Kitts. When I was 4 years old, my mother made one of the hardest decisions any parent can make. She traveled to England to build a better future for our family, leaving my younger brother and me with the loving care of my grandmother. At that time, I didn't understand the sacrifice my mother had made. Children really do. We simply live each day. It's only many years later when we begin connecting the dots. Now, as Steve Jobs said, I believe, you only connect the dots looking backwards. Now, more than 7 decades later, I can clearly see how those early years became the foundation of my life. That's why this isn't simply a story about my childhood. It is a story about the incredible power one person has to shape another human being. And I believe that's true for every one of us. Someone helped shape who you are. And whether you realize it or not, you're shaping someone else's life every single day. So let me introduce you to the remarkable woman who taught me my first lesson about leadership, my mama. Slide 2, please. So just look at mama there for me. When I think about mama, I don't first remember the things she said. I remember how she made me feel. She made me feel safe, loved, and perhaps most importantly, she made me feel that I mattered. Those may sound like simple gifts, but I came to realize they are amongst the greatest gifts one human being can give to another. Because when a child grows up feeling safe, feeling loved, and believing they matter, they begin to see themselves differently, and that shapes the rest of their life. Let me show you what I mean. When I was about 4.5 years old, Mama enrolled me in a small nursery school that was run from a neighbor's house. It was only a short walk away from home and seemed like the perfect place for a little boy to begin his education. Now, I don't remember why I was late on my first day. What I do remember is what happened when I arrived. The teacher's son bullied me. Like any young child, I expected the teacher to step in and help. Instead, she sided with her son. From what she had seen, she believed her son had come off the worst. So on my very first day, I was sent home. Imagine how confusing that must have been for a 4-year-old boy. I hadn't even had the chance to settle into school, yet I was already walking home. Now, when I arrived home, Mama immediately seeing something wasn't right, looked at me and I told her everything that happened. What I remembered isn't a dramatic reaction. I don't remember shouting. I don't remember anger. What I remember was something much more powerful. She listened. She believed me. She didn't dismiss my feelings. She didn't tell me, just get on with it. Together, we decided I wouldn't be going back because I only had a short time before I was due to start the village primary school. Mama agreed that there was no point in sending me back. Looking back, I realized she gave me something every child deserves. She made me feel heard. She made me feel believed. She made me feel that my voice mattered. At that time, I did not think of it as leadership. I simply thought that what Mama did was right. But over the years, I came to see it differently. Leadership isn't always about standing in front of people. Sometimes it's quietly sitting beside one frightened little boy, listening to him, believing in him, and letting him know that he matters. That moment lasted only a short time, but the lesson has stayed with me for more than 70 years because real leadership isn't measured by how many people follow us. It's measured by how many people feel after they've been with us. Mama probably never thought of herself as a leader. She certainly never imagined that one day I'd be here talking about her. She was simply doing what she believed was right, yet through those simple acts of love, she was shaping the person I would become. And that wonderful thing about influence, we really know how far it will travel. It wasn't the only lesson Mama would teach me. A little while later, when I was about 6 years old, I went looking for something very ordinary, a pair of shoes. Hmm. I had no idea that I was about to discover something far more valuable. Slide 3, please. Meeting my father was an interesting thing. See, when I was about 6 years old, I asked Mama for a pair of shoes. That probably doesn't sound like a very unusual request. Children ask for things all the time. But what happened next changed my life. Mama looked at me and said, "Go ask your father." You see, until then, that moment, I didn't know I had a father. And I know some of you will laugh. Like most 6-year-old children, I simply accepted the world as it was. Mama looked after me. Mama looked after my younger brother, and I lived with her. Life felt normal. I never questioned why someone else wasn't there. So when she said, "Go and ask your father," I was confused. I remember asking, "Where is my father?" She pointed down the road and told me, He lived only about 10 or 15 minutes away. Imagine hearing that for the very first time. My father lived just a short walk away, and I had never met him as far as I could remember. So I set off, one small boy walking down a familiar road, not knowing that every step was taking him towards someone who would become a part of his life. When I arrived, I met my father for the very first time, as far as I can remember. I honestly can't remember everything we said. 70 years is a long time, but I do remember one thing very clearly. He welcomed me. He listened, and when I asked him for a pair of shoes, he said, I only have 2 shillings and 6 pence. For those who don't know what 2 shillings and 6 pence was, that was in the old English money. I realized it wasn't about the amount of money. It was about what it represented. He gave me what he had. I, as a 60-year-old boy, I thought I'd gone looking for a pair of shoes. What I found instead was the beginning of a relationship with my father. Over the years, my father became part of my life. Not because of one dramatic moment, but because one simple conversation opened the door that had previously been closed. It's another reminder that sometimes the smallest moment create the biggest changes. We don't always recognize them when they are happening. Only years later do we realize that was the moment everything began to change. I often think about Mama's wisdom. She could easily have found another way to get me that pair of shoes. Instead, she gave me something much more valuable. She gave me the opportunity to know my father. I don't know whether she realized how important that decision would become. Perhaps she did, perhaps she didn't. But her decision changed the course of my childhood. Leadership often looks like that. It makes a decision today that quietly improves someone else's tomorrow without expecting recognition, without needing applause, simply because it is the right thing to do. After meeting my father, life gradually settled back into a familiar rhythm. I continued attending the village primary school. I enjoyed learning. I enjoyed playing. And like most children, I enjoyed making friends. It was there that I met a boy everybody called Fence. Now, that is an unusual nickname, isn't it? I have absolutely no idea why everybody called him Fence. I never asked, and After all these years, I still don't know. But I do know this. He became one of the most important friends of my childhood. Next slide, please. Excellent. Meeting friends. After meeting my father, life gradually settled back into its familiar rhythm. I continued attending the village primary school. Like most children, I enjoyed learning, I enjoyed having fun. And that was when I met Fence. He was a brilliant young man, and I had great days time with him. To this day, as I said, I still don't know why they call him Fence, because I never asked him. But I do know this, he became my best friend. Friendship often begins so naturally that years later, you can't remember exactly how they start. You simply know that one day they became part of your life. One memory of Fence has stayed with me for more than 70 years. It still makes me smile when I think about it today. One evening, I was having dinner at his mom's house. Like many young boys, we turned dinner into a competition. We said we were very competitive. The challenge was simple. Who could eat the most? Because we were both very skinny, so we ate a lot. Unfortunately, on that day, Fence won. He definitely ate the most. But a few moments later, he was rolling around on the floor, holding his stomach. He had eaten so much that he was in pain. I know what that felt like. It happened to me too. Later, that was. His mother looked at him and said, "It serves you right." I know it's funny. It's so funny. I still laugh at it. It was almost time for me to go home, and I remember feeling concerned about him. But seeing that his mother was there with him, I knew it would be a good time for me to go. I didn't need to hold his hands. So I headed home. When I think, Whenever I think about Fence today, that memory still makes me smile. Not because he had a stomach ache, but because it reminds me of how competitive we were. Like so many children, friends, we turned almost everything into a game. When I look back now, I realize it isn't really the competition I remember, it's the friendship. I don't remember who won every game we played. I don't remember every conversation we had, but I do remember how fortunate I was to have a friend like Fence during those years. Friendship is one of life's quietest form of leadership. Real friends encourage us, challenge us, laugh with us, and sometimes compete with us. And simply by being there, they shape who we become. Friends probably never thought of himself as an influencer or influencing my life. Yet here I am, more than 70 years later, still smiling at the memory of my childhood friend. That's the remarkable thing about influence. We often have no idea which moments another person will carry with them for the rest of their life. Children has a way of feeling as though it will last forever. The day seems endless. The friendships seems permanent. And you never imagine that life could change overnight. But one day everything changed. Mama told my younger brother, Stafford, and me that we would be leaving St. Kitts. We were going to England to be reunited with our mother. At 9 years old, I had no idea that I was about to say goodbye to the only home I ever had known. Slide 5, please. Now, childhood has a way of making us believe that life always stay the same. Your family will always be there. Your friends will always be there. The places you love will always be there. At 9 years old, that's certainly what I believed. I had my grandmother, Mama, my younger brother, Stafford. My father had become part of our lives. I had a wonderful friend like friends. I loved my village. It was the only home I had ever known. Then one day Mama told us that the time had come. We're going to England. We're going to be reunited with our mother. My mother left for England when I was 4 years old to build a better life for our family. Now, 5 years later, it was time for us to join her. As a 9-year-old, I didn't fully understand what that meant. I knew I was going to England, but I did not yet understand that I would be leaving behind. I would say goodbye to my friends, goodbye to my village. I was going to say goodbye to everything that had shaped my childhood. And then Mama, Stafford, and I boarded a ship. For me, that voyage was an adventure. For Mama, it was very different. She enjoyed her journey along the way. But what really happened? When we got to England, we had to transfer from the liner we were traveling on Next slide, please. From the liner we were traveling on, and we were then carried from that liner by ferry to the docks. Unfortunately, on that journey towards the docks on the ferry, Mama was seasick. We couldn't wait for us to get to the shore because our mama was everything to us. And when we reached land, we found England cold. Even the atmosphere felt different. One of the most memory that stayed with me is when we arrived on the deck. My brother turned around to Mama and said, some woman had taken his suitcase. Now, Mama, realizing who it was, said, don't be silly. That's your mother. Now, like every 9-year-old boy wanting to feel big, I then piped up and said the same thing, repeating what Mama had said. The interesting thing about that is it was something new to us, the cold and everything. This woman, who we then realized was our mother, dressed us in much warmer clothes because, you see, we were dressed for the Caribbean. Imagine that, short trousers, short sleeve shirt in September 1960. It's cold, very cold. At least to me, it was freezing. And I'm sure it was the same for my brother and my grandmother. But Mom dressed us in warmer clothes, and then we set off for our final destination. We now was going to be traveling on a train, which was something that was unusual to me because in the Caribbean, we had train lines, but they were for the plantations to ferry sugarcane from the plantation to the sugarcane factory. So now we're in England and we're getting on a train. This was something new to me. It was very unusual. Passengers on a train? Can you imagine what that would look like to a 9-year-old who'd never traveled on a train? But it was an adventure. A little bit scary because it was new. It was new to us. So every tunnel, every bridge that we crossed, it was all so new and interesting and fascinating. You know, just think about that for a moment. Think of what that felt like. Being a passenger on a train for the first time, watching it pulling this station, pulling into the station. It was the moment. It was a moment to remember. It was a fascinating journey, traveling from where we were in Portsmouth, up in Plymouth, one of those places. We ended up in a place called Leeds. From the Caribbean through to Leeds. As I said, Leeds felt incredibly cold, even colder than where we just come from, up London way, Portsmouth way. I don't quite remember where it was at the time. But when we got to Leeds, it was rather cold. And I remember how interesting and fascinating that journey was. when we landed in Leeds from St. Kitts. A beautiful thing is as we arrived there, we found that we had other relatives there, found brothers and a stepdad. No, that is the interesting thing about traveling from one place to the other. We're starting a new chapter of life. And that is where my journey comes to basically to an end for this time round. And I would like to thank everyone for listening. But before I go, I just want to reiterate. I asked you a question earlier on. Who is your mama? And as lovely as that sounds, I want to ask you right now before I go, whose life are you going to be changing just by being there, just by listening, just by caring? Whose life can you change? Whose life can you make a difference by just being part of their life? That is what's beautiful about being a leader. It, every parent is a leader, whether they realize it or not. They carry a massive responsibility, yet we don't always realize it until much later in life. So I would like you all to think about what I said. Who was your mama? And whose mama are you going to be? It doesn't have to be anyone specific. But right now, I would like you to leave you with that part of the story. The person that you thought of, hold on to them. When I first asked the question, who's your mama? It doesn't have to be a grandmother. It doesn't have to be a mother. It could be a teacher. It could be anyone who makes a difference or encourage you, who supports you. Mine happened to have been my grandmother, who I call Mama. And she's the person that keeps a smile on my face today, because through her, I love to smile and laugh at life. And at my tender age, I'll keep that to myself. Just know that I'm in my 70s. But I'm still loving life, and I'm still enjoying life. And I look forward to share more of my life's journey with you guys in the future. And on that note, I would like to say thank you very much for listening to me. And I'll leave myself open to any questions that you may have for me right now. Hello, is anybody there with a question?
For the wonderful presentation today. So yes, you do have a lot of questions from the audience. I just picked one for you. So, what is the key message behind your upcoming book?
The key message of my up and coming book, it's aimed at helping people going through the process of pregnancy. It's aimed at helping them working through the various process of blockages and situations that sometimes happen in pregnancy, where we're not always told what we need to do, where we need to, who we need to connect with. The book is like a guidebook. It gives us the instructions, who we can contact, who we can get help from, what we can do when things get difficult. It's simply there so that when you're in a difficult situation, like my colleague or my co-writer who ended up with an ectopic pregnancy, not knowing what to do, those are the sort of instructions of help. When people are going through a situation where there may be abuse, and there are various forms of abuse. There is the physical, emotional, mental, financial, um, the, even nowadays where people get abused on through technology. And sometimes people don't know what to do or where to turn. They're stuck. They may not have a good friend. But the idea of this book is to give them different steps and things that they can do to find the answers so that they can have the kind of result that they desire from being pregnant. Some of the younger people may struggle with talking to their parents or talking to anyone. So the book is to encourage them to find someone that they trust. It may be a teacher, it may be a counselor, it may be a good friend. These are the sort of things a lot of people struggle with finding what to do and where to go. So the book is aimed at that sort of situation, and it's aimed from age 13 right up to age 45. Because even sometimes when we get older, especially if we start late, we don't always know what to do or how to go. I ended up with a situation where I was with my partner who cried for no reason. And I struggled to understand what to do or how to help her. Through my experience, I was able to come to terms with that and learn to develop that skills. It's taken a few years to put all that together. And that's why it's at this point in time is when I've actually come. So that's what the book is about. It is a guidebook. It's something I believe needed to be written. And so one day when I met my co-author, we decided to write it, and it should be published coming out very, very soon. Next
Thank you
question.
so much. Yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation, and you have given the ending with a great presentation today, Vernon Harris. And keep joining our next sessions as well. I mean, from for tomorrow. Okay, and have a great day.
There is a question here. What is one practical step people can take to develop the leader within? Can I just answer that quickly?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
My development of the leader within, first of all, I continued developing myself. At some point in my life, after developing from a teacher to a therapist, I started to look at myself and ask myself, what can I do to help others? And by doing that, I ended up working with a number of people. One of the final people I ended up working with was a lady called Forbes Riley. And she massively made a difference in the way I thought about myself, the way I thought about the things in life. But I've met what I met is a lot of people I've met along the way. I went on a self-searching journey. Who am I? Who was I? What did I want out of life? Whose life could I make a difference to? I'd done that for my children, so I wanted to do that for others. So that was my journey. I went on a self searching journey for myself. I wanted to be different inside myself. That's why in 1975 I went to see a hypnotherapist, which was something unusual for somebody of my nature or my complexion. Okay. So I'd started back then, way back then, looking at myself and asking myself questions. I didn't like the person I'd become at one point in my life. So I had to change. I started asking why wasn't these things happening right for me? And it was simply asking myself questions, looking at who I wanted to be and who I wanted to become. And by asking the right questions, I got led into the right pathway of the right people or the right situation. Sometimes that's all you need to do is ask the right questions of yourself, which allows you then to be led or guided. Well, thank you all so much. I'm sorry I wasn't able to answer all the questions, and
No
I look
problem.
forward.
No problem. Thank you so much for joining this Day 3 Global Virtual Summit and sharing your wonderful presentation with us. And please do join our next speaker sessions tomorrow. And yeah, please engage with other speakers as well and share your thoughts.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You have a great day and keep smiling as always. Bye.
Thank you so much. All the best. Bye bye.